Hello, welcome to Only in Illinois, your weekly recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeline Dubeck here with Matt Dietrich, and this week, right after the election, Governor Bruce Rauner had a major victory in his ongoing impasse with AFSCME, the major state employee union in Illinois. It affects about not quite 40,000 employees. When the Illinois Labor Relations Board sided with the governor and against the union and declared that the two are at an impasse in contract negotiations that really began once Rauner was sworn in January of 2015. So, what does it all mean, Matt? So now AFSCME tries to appeal in court.
AFSCME has a chance to appeal this ruling, and if they don't prevail in that appeal, then Rauner gets to impose his final offer. And if it comes to that, if the union doesn't want to accept it, then they have the choice to
strike.
That could lead to the first state employee strike in state history.
Ever,
yeah.
Since 1818.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
And this is especially significant because Rauner campaigned on a platform that, Illinois is broken financially, and obviously he had a very strong anti-union message throughout his campaign.
Right.
One of the first things he tried to do when he was sworn into office in January 2015 was eliminate the fair share fees that people who don't want to be in the union but still get the benefits of the union contract. He wanted to eliminate those. That was right out of the gate. The AFSCME had been saying all along that the goal of the Rauner administration here was to force a strike. Mm-hmm. And what we saw happen was the contract expired at the end of June 2015. The two sides negotiated for a while. And in January of 2016, that's when the Rauner administration first said that they wanted it to be declared at an impasse. So at that point, the case went before a labor law judge.
Right.
At the same time that the governor said that he wanted it declared an impasse, the union filed its complaint saying that the administration was bargaining in bad faith. That put it before an administrative law judge all the way back in January. It took until September for her decision to come down. It was a 400-page decision. Then it took a few more months. Now we're in November, and the Labor Relations Board, which has 2 members appointed by Governor Rauner and 3 members who were appointed by previous governors. So it's not like this was a packed panel of all Rauner loyalists or anything.
So give people just a quick summary of what the governor wants to impose upon the employees.
Well, the governor wants to freeze pay. The governor wants to rework some of the rules on overtime. For example, under the current contract, if you work what are called super holidays, that would be Christmas and a couple others, you get 2.5 times pay. Rauner wants to roll that back to being double time, and on the other non-super holidays, your regular holidays, you would get 1.5 times.
So, and what about the length of the work week?
Length of the work week will go from 37.5 to 40 hours. That was also a big point of contention. And then there are increased, the governor wants employees to pay more for their health care benefits. So there's a whole long list of things that the two sides were at odds over. But kind of what it boils down to is Rauner has said ever since he came into office that we can't afford, when the state is in such a financial shambles, we can't give guaranteed pay raises to employees. And this is one of his, the whole concept of running government like a business. It's invalid in a lot of ways, but this is one of the ways where it's pretty valid. When you've got, in the auto industry, when it was about to collapse during the Great Recession, United Auto Workers gave back all kinds of concessions to keep things going. We really haven't had that play out in Illinois, although the unions have they worked with Pat Quinn to find some savings.
Mm-hmm.
But you never had someone coming into office like Rauner who was going to bargain this way with the unions and who pretty much telegraphed it throughout his campaign that I'm going to drive hard bargains with you guys like you haven't seen before.
Right.
So now,
So he says this will save the state
He
$3
says-
billion a
he
year
says it'll save $3 billion.
over 4 years, the
and
length of the contract.
Right, and the union contests that, and there are a lot of skeptics about that. But again, bottom line is, as of right now, Rauner has prevailed, and he'll get to impose this. He'll get to impose this contract on them.
So, and why you should care about this as a taxpayer? Obviously, Rauner's contention is that it will save money. Of course, we haven't had a state budget for more than a year and a
Right.
half, so money's flying out the door with no controls on it whatsoever. A little irony there. But the governor has had this big victory, and he just won back, literally. He did it. It's his money. He
Sure.
paid for all those ads. 6 seats between the House and the Senate.
And he did that in a year when Democrats should have cleaned house. They should have just run the tables this year because you had this huge boom. You know, look at how Hillary Clinton won Illinois. Look at Tammy Duckworth winning
Right.
Illinois, big. Susana Mendoza won in the comptroller's race statewide. You had these big Democratic victories. And yet, in a map that was drawn by the Democrats, you had the governor was able to come in and take away Mike Madigan's supermajority in the House
Right.
and pick up a couple of seats in the Senate.
So how does this all affect the ongoing attempts to get a state budget during this veto session that we're now in?
You know, it's hard to
I mean,
know.
does that make Madigan dig in even further because a lot of his funding for his majority comes from labor?
Well, unions put a whole lot of money into these elections.
Right.
And I think that the unions are looking for some support from the people that they supported,
Helped elect.
which would be Speaker Madigan. So,
Right.
you know, how it affects the budget talks, though, the budget talks right now are so abstract. And we've seen this week, again, they're getting together for meetings, then Madigan changes the rules and he wants a new negotiating team. And I don't even know that it's gotten down to the level of talking about things like
That will
this.
have to be talked about in order for this to be resolved.
Yeah, and as you and I had said all along ever since Rauner was elected governor, if there's one thing that Bruce Rauner was elected to do, it is negotiate this contract. He was elected
Which AFSCME
statewide,
tried to take away from him.
and a couple of times, and this
Right.
is one of the areas
And they
where
failed to
Madigan's supermajority failed
override.
him.
Right. All right. So that's the latest on state government. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next edition of Only in Illinois.